Hmm.
that I really don't believe in training. Like I really don't believe in a lot of enablement professors, even though they also keep saying like, oh, training is a waste of money, right? It's where a lot of money is being drained on. I in general don't believe that how we train, whether it's sales or everyone, is sustainable and scalable anymore. Because also, again, what I believe in and what I'm trying to build now at TomTom with enablement team is that in the future, again, or even not in the future, already now,
Hmm.
a lot of things that we learn are happening on the job itself.
Anna, welcome to the show.
Hi, Van. I'm so excited to be here today.
And I'm also happy that you're here. So let's start by learning more about you. Who are you? What do you do? And why are we talking today?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so my name is Anna Borbotko. I'm a passionate product marketer who turned lately into enablement enthusiast. For almost 5 years, I've been working for a company called TomTom. It's a location technology provider who is known for their satellite navigation, but not a lot of people know that we actually successfully transitioned to being a B2B company, one of the few in the world who successfully managed to do that. And you can see TomTom maps in a lot of applications and different industries behind the scenes on a global scale. Outside of work, I'm a mom, most important role yet. I'm also an artist. I like to create art, the one that you see behind me. I also like a lot of dancing, and I do a lot of side gigs like this. So I'm very excited to be on this podcast and talk about product marketing, future of careers, and in general, what's coming next.
Amazing. Let's start from the beginnings. TomTom, it's a pretty established brand. Why do you think you got the job there? I'm just curious, what do you think made you stand out? Was it about the CV or the job interview process that you had? Just curious to know more about what were the things that, in your opinion, got you to this job.
Ooh, that's a tough question. Too bad my manager's not on this podcast. I think, well, first of all, also as a hiring manager myself right now, I know it sounds a bit harsh, but sometimes even though you have the best experience and industry fit and everything clicks, we're still hiring humans in this time period of when we're recording this podcast. So if there is a click, right, and that click not only with the manager who is hiring, but also with other people who are interviewing, right? Even if you're the best of the best, but if there's no click, the outcome will be that you'll not be selected. And that's sometimes very hard to justify. So I think in a period that when I joined TomTom, which was during COVID time, which was really hard period for a lot of people because of layoffs and in general, quite a not exciting situation, right? TomTom is actually was one of the few companies that still was hiring. And they were almost closing all their jobs, like many companies start doing. But they were on a later side, like they hired for quite a long time during COVID period. But I just had a click. I just had a click with the manager. It just fit exactly what he was looking for. And then I also clicked with his manager. And then, even though they were closing everything, in a way I became an exception. And I'm very happy I applied for their job. And I'm also happy they chose me. It's, it was just meant to happen, I guess.
I think it's such a unique answer because most of the times I get a very technical response, like it was, the way I networked before going to the interview, or it was before because I optimized the CV for some specific keywords. But it's interesting to see that sometimes there's just so much that you can do. And on the other side, it's a matter of timing, connection, luck, and so many other factors where you cannot really influence that much. And what is it like now that you're on the other side? So interviewing candidates, what are you looking for in those ones? So besides the usual hard skills, what else is important for you?
Actually, to be honest, hard skills is the last thing I look at, especially right now, because I work a lot with young people. Like I hire a lot of juniors. And also since I'm a mother, I'm also very interested in like how careers will develop going forward, like for next generations. And that's a really interesting topic for me right now. I'm researching it a lot and also experimenting with the juniors. And that's also another reason why I look more at the soft skills and more like a cultural fit. Because let's be honest, nobody really knows what the job market will look like in 2050 or even like in 5 years from now. So that's why I think if you have those personal traits like adaptability, things like the willingness to do things, a little bit of intelligence, and I don't mean we're all intelligent. What I mean is that a bit of this wittiness to kind of pick up things that many people don't see and then make something out of it. Of course, it's very hard to get those things just in one interview, like 40 minutes or something. But what I've seen is that those things are that they are transversable skills that can always be applicable. Doesn't matter what the market will look like in the future. So I don't think it's the real challenge that the jobs will disappear. The real challenge is that like finding those people who can adapt to different situations, adapting to new tools, new ways of working, entirely new roles. That will be critical. And I oftentimes look at that skill when I hire, let's say.
Interesting. Is there any favorite question that you like to ask during the interview to assess this part?
Yes. I even wrote about it in my LinkedIn once. So one question I ask, doesn't matter whether it's senior, junior, VP, I don't care. It's if you see a wall in front of you, what would you do? And of course, there's no right or wrong answer. And a lot of time, like I almost never got the same answer, like from different people. It's always something else. And you'll be surprised how creative people sometimes can become. But that also kind of shows you whether that person will fit for that particular role. Of course, it's very subjective, right? I don't make decisions just on that answer of that question, but it can kind of help you see a little bit differently the candidates.
Yeah. Can you share out of curiosity what's the best response that you received to this question? The one that sticked in your mind, if there is any.
There was recently somebody who said, I will paint it. Like, I will paint it. I will make something very beautiful out of it. I never heard something like this before.
Nice.
And that person was really creative. Like, he was really on the creative side. And I remember I was really surprised. I was like, wow, it's not the typical response, right? Because typical response is, I will go over it, or I will walk around it, or I will not do anything, or I will call a friend, or I will bring a ladder, or I will bring a hammer. So there's like a bunch of, I even had once another outstanding response like, I will bring it, I will build a tower so I can see what's over it, right? So there's like a lot of times people really creative, but this one really stuck with me because I was like, yeah, you don't see it as an obstacle, you see it as an opportunity to create something on it, which is very interesting.
Yeah, interesting. All right, let's get into young people hiring, careers, etc. So you said you've been hiring or interacting with a lot of junior roles. What do you think about those current roles today and the trajectory that's going? I mean, what do you think it's important today, and also having a look at careers in the future for younger professionals? What are your insights there?
Okay, we probably need a coffee and then something stronger. Let's see. So yeah, as I said, right, we don't know how the job market will look like. What we do know is that it will look very different from today. And I really don't think that we're heading into mass unemployment. That's the first point I want to make. That fear never fully materialized in the past, and I don't see it happening now. And so it's not about jobs disappearing or losing jobs. The challenge will really be people adapting to the new situations, which is happening very rapidly right now. And especially for young generations, they will need to focus a lot more on developing skills that matter in 2025 and beyond. But unfortunately, our educational systems are still very much stuck in industrial revolution. And most of the careers are already non-linear. Take product marketing, for example. It's not linear at all. Nobody ever dreamt of becoming a product marketer. They will become even more jungle gym going forward, non-linear, multidisciplinary, and constantly evolving, right? So there's this need for retraining, reskilling will be at a like almost daily requirement for them. So the first thing I always tell to my juniors is like, you live in a time where job doesn't equal opportunity anymore. Right? Before, like for us, it's like for millennials in my case, right? It meant like, oh, depending what you choose, that kind of determines your fate. For them, it's not this anymore. So you shouldn't wait for universities to kind of build that path for you. You shouldn't wait for your managers. You should definitely not wait, ask your parents, boyfriends to help you out. No, you need to take that ownership in your own hands and don't leave it to chance. And you owe it to yourself, nobody else. So that's one thing I always tell to my juniors. So whenever, if for example, I work a lot with interns right now, so I always tell them, always go beyond just the skills we'll ask you to kind of develop. Always fish around for extra projects to kind of see in how and where you can develop. One more trend that I see quite shaping the future work as well, especially for the next generation, is the shift from the skilled labor to intellectual property. It's not the idea I come up with myself. It's something that I heard Daniel Priestley talks about in one of the podcasts. And he said that the future belongs to those who turn their knowledge into scalable financial assets. What does it mean? It means that it's not you are just working at a job. It's creating something, an idea, a framework, a method, maybe even content that lives beyond you. And you take that with you, depending which jobs you're going to take next. You kind of take it with you as your unique intellectual property that you can then turn into side gigs, newsletters, workshops, templates, digital products. And that's kind of the future for the next generations, is creating those intellectual properties. Also for us, right? In a way, we're still in the market. We'll be in the market for quite some time. So looking into those rather than just, I'm building a skill here. No. What can you take with you to next job and kind of sell it that's unique to you?
I like this way of thinking. If we were to go concrete, can you give me an example of what would be an intellectual property that can be transferable from either company to company or from one job to the other? What would be an example of a route or of a roadmap that would work for you?
I will use my own example because I'm in enablement not that long, so I don't call myself an expert at all. But what I see, for example, is a trend in which I currently put myself as a sort of my intellectual property, that I really don't believe in training. Like, I really don't believe in a lot of enablement, even though they also keep saying like, training is a waste of money, right? It's where a lot of money is being drained on. I, in general, don't believe that how we train, whether it's sales or everyone, is sustainable and scalable anymore. Because also, again, what I believe in and what I'm trying to build now at TomTom with enablement team is that in the future, again, or even not in the future, already now, a lot of things that we learn are happening on the job itself. You don't need it to, 5-hour course in order to get upskilled. It's all about doing with hands or with your brain. Right? And so broadcasting, e-learnings, all of that is great, but it's not the core, and it shouldn't be the core. And so what I believe in is that we need to invest in AI and AI agents. Of course, I was mentioned that. But we need to considerably rethink the framework of how we upskill and use the training methods in workplace, right? And that's why, as I said, I rather invest in like a good chatbot and put a lot of information in there and then focus on, let's say, scaling our sales in more like how do you build a conversation? How do you convince somebody? It's more like a soft skills where human interaction is still very important versus trying to pump them with like product knowledge or solution knowledge or how the sales process works, because it never sticked. It's never going to stick again. And especially in the future where everything is so uncertain, you can't bet on that. So that's the framework I'm developing that I want to then take no matter where I go and how long I stay at TomTom, that I'm going to take with me.
So what's the first step? I mean, you have a consolidated job and you want to start building your intellectual property. What's the first step that you took in order to get you there?
Well, for me personally, it was starting building, even though I don't like it, call it personal brand on LinkedIn. It's never was my goal and still isn't. But being present online, being present socially, being out there, I think that was my first step I took. And in a way, TomTom also helped me get there, right? Because if I talk to a lot of juniors again, they don't want to go and start posting things on LinkedIn or YouTube or something like that, especially like work related. I don't talk about like interesting TikTok challenges and all of that. No, specifically work related. And I also didn't think about it when I started my career, right? And when I joined TomTom, I quickly became a market expert and I was started invited as a speaker. So then It was just a pure, hey, I'm going to that conference, see you there. Hey, I'm speaking at that conference. It never had any meaningful message to talk. Like, it wasn't thought leadership. It was just showing off in a way. But what really struck with me is that a lot of people then start saying, oh, you're really active on LinkedIn. That's so cool. And I remember thinking, really? Like, that's all it takes, just showing up? And that's when I also realized it's not always just about what you post, but about being present and constantly present in a certain channel, because visibility compounds. And I also, for example, know that with some people who I talk to, they're like, yeah, I really don't want to become this content creator. I don't want to be associated with it. But I think there are also other ways how you can become visible, right? For example, I know engineering community is a very good example where they connect together, they build community. Yes, they're not present maybe very actively in social media, right? But they know each other, right? Then if they have a question, they're like, oh, I remember that engineer, he told me this tip, I'll call him, right? And the same applies here. There's a lot of different ways how you can start building that visibility. And it doesn't have to be LinkedIn only. I really don't think LinkedIn is the only way.
Okay, interesting. So first you sort of work on your hard skills, on your skill set and expertise in your career. Then you start carving an additional channel, stream, or communication platforms like LinkedIn, for example, where you start exposing yourself more with content which is not necessarily adding value, is just
Correct.
reminding people that you're present. A step after this that you would recommend? So how do you then turn that into your additional identity or virtual expansion of your typical job?
I think so. If you take it this whole like either building a brand or just being like, let's call it being present, right? Being visible in the market. If you put it as a goal and it becomes your kind of second job, it's no fun. It will drain your energy, especially if you look at engagements, things like on LinkedIn, it's very energy draining. You'll go crazy. So you need to keep it fun, and you need to make it fun for yourself to start with. Because, for example, when I started taking LinkedIn seriously, it's not that long ago. It was really last year when I thought, okay, I'm actually gonna start building something around it. But before, it was just, okay, I was going on maternity leave, completely unplugged from work, but my brain just wouldn't shut off. And I had thoughts, reflections, mini rants, which I start putting on my notes to start with. But then I was like, wait a minute. Why don't I just start a newsletter? Of course, there are thousands of newsletters out there, but I didn't think about what would happen, like who would sign up. Like, I didn't go into analysis paralysis. I just started doing it because I needed to put my brain somewhere and I didn't want to die in my notes. There was no monetization plan. There was no big strategy. I just thought, okay, it's my playground for my ideas and let's see where it gets me. And then I also start then repurposing some of that content into small LinkedIn posts. So in order to not spend too much time on creating something new. So the first year was total chaos, right? There was zero consistency. Some posts didn't land at all. Others even flopped. But let's say starting from last year, I thought, okay, let's be more consistent. Let's see what happens, right? Again, I don't have a monetization plan. I don't have like a big target that I want to have 10,000 followers. That's not what I want to create for myself. It's more about fun, creating those engagements. And to be honest, a lot of things are coming my way, right? So podcast invitations, like this one, for example, which I never imagined I would have. External workshops and speaking engagements, collaborations with other experts in the field, content co-creation with people I really admire, let's say. And also, it helps me grow and also create a generous and genuine network because the more you connect and you see you have similar challenges, the faster that bond becomes. So in that sense, I see it as an investment in my career, my community, and just staying curious. And I think that's kind of the mindset I want the listeners also to take. Think about it as a fun investment for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a similar approach to the one I'm having. And it's an interesting learning curve because it's different from the typical job. It's a different type of challenge, which requires probably different skill sets in order to improve or to get better. So I agree with this, sorry, with this point of view. Having that said, going back to one interesting point that you made about the company, TomTom, about pivoting from B2C to B2B, I have never actually thought about it, even if I know the company. So can you explain what does it mean to change the target in such a dramatic way, especially from a product marketing angle?
So when that happened, I was not there, right? I've been in the company about 5 years, and so by the time I joined, company already transformed into B2B company. But what's interesting, right, is well, first of all, it's a mindset shift that company needs to take, and it can take some time, right? That you're no longer selling a one-off thing. You're selling, in a way, a relationship, because you're building it with a company. You're building products with companies, right? Because then their users are going to use it, right? So the whole mindset of it's to consumer is very different than when you're selling it to business.
Yeah.
That also means not just how your product is built, but also that a lot of internal processes that changes, right? From legal, from finance. So a lot of shifts has to happen in order to ensure that you now can become this B2B oiled machine. And what is also interesting about TomTom is that we work with two types of businesses, very traditional, which is the automakers, and ones that are much faster in their pace of buying, let's say, and that's the enterprise tech companies. And there's a very different mindset you have to have. And that's yet another extra challenge on top of the fact that you had to transform as a company to B2B, but then you have these two kind of different types of customers that have similarities, but in most of their times, they're very different in what type of products they consume, how they buy, and how they engage with you, and what type of the buying process behind it. So it's and who are the champions in those two. So that's yet adds another layer of complexity, let's say, which is also not very easy to manage. But from what I've seen, right, considering the time frame that I'm there, and also like how long did it take to transform, sometimes it feels like a startup, and sometimes it feels like a really oiled machine. And that's an exciting part, because that also means that you can still create a lot of things. You can still add a lot of impact in the way how company operates. And I think that's another reason why I really like working for the company, because then you can see that some small changes that you implement, they have a really big impact on the way how company shifts itself. And from product marketing perspective, I think what we see is that, or the main challenge is that because of our big B2C brand, that we're known for satellite, you're in this situation where you need to convince others that like, hey, actually we're selling B2B, right? So this whole brand perception plays a big role here. Like we don't have a challenge of building a brand from scratch. We're actually dealing with the perception and positioning of us in the on the market. And that's also very exciting to see when you see the sparkle of realization, oh, actually indeed, I can deal now with TomTom from B2B perspective. Yeah. It's just a very exciting company to be in.
Nice. Did it become more boring, in your opinion, since this B2B shift?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. I think I'm dealing with new challenges every day, and that's what sparks the joy, I think, that you always have something to fix or something to deal with.
What's the relationship now between the role, I mean, working at TomTom, and also building your personal brand? How do you believe it's perceived inside the company, and also for people outside work who have visibility over your content?
I think it's both, right? So I think because of TomTom, I started building my brand, right? And I will give credit back to the company in this case. But also because of the work I'm doing at TomTom, and TomTom allows me to sometimes apply some of my bold thinking, which I don't think a lot of companies would dare, right? That also helps them, because then I share something that we do. Of course, I take all the precautions because we are a publicly listed company. But then people get to know TomTom, and their perception also changes. Yes, I don't have a big audience, but I know that helps the company also to kind of continue that education about the fact that we are now B2B, and that what things we are doing, that we're very innovative, and that it's exciting to work with us. And let's consider TomTom also in the picture now if we are talking about B2B market space. And I think I think it's a mutual connection, let's say.
Yeah.
I don't know what people think, to be honest. I never ask, but I know that sometimes it's also my channel to communicate in a way of some of my ideas to, because of course you can do it in a personal matter, but it's also, you use the mass to kind of also as a communication channel as well.
Yeah. Do you get the feeling that the company is supportive about you experimenting and building your personal brand on a platform like LinkedIn?
Yeah, we actually have the whole program now internally about building, helping others also build personal brand.
That's amazing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I was just curious to see that. So the company is actually supporting and
Yeah.
encouraging employees to be louder on social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. What is it like now shifting from product marketing to enablement? So walk me through, the steps and also what did it mean for you getting into a different angle of the same business?
Wow. All right. So I think where I can start is that maybe I can even start a bit earlier,
Hmm.
which is how in general I came to product marketing, because that's also
Yeah.
not a very linear story to tell. So and it's gonna be a bit of longer story. My career is anything but linear, and I always thought I would be a journalist. I come from analytical family, accountants, financials, auditors. So math, logic, spreadsheets. I was an alien at the dinner table. But at around 16, I knew I want to be a journalist. This is set for life, because I even started at like a TV channel at my school. So nothing would come out differently than that dream of mine. And I was very happy that somebody advised me to actually take a much broader bachelor's, which is communications, where I was exposed to PR, social media, crisis communication, change management, and all other flavors of communication. And the funny thing is, the moment I took a journalism major, I realized my love for journalism has faded. I got very excited about marketing. Then I became a dreamer of new things, which is working for an FMCG company like Nike or Calvin Klein, and work maybe with Ogilvy and all. But that shut down very quickly because I was rejected across all the board. Nobody wanted me. But my internship deadline at school was looming in very, like, it was crawling, it was at me, breathing at my neck. So the only thing that was available to me is an indirect procurement internship at a big telco. And on paper, that didn't make sense at all. Like, I remember going on a train thinking, why did I take this internship? This is not my cup of tea. Like, I wanted to cry sometimes. That, like, why did I do this to myself? But looking back, I actually think that internship shaped a lot more than I imagined. So first of all, I had a really good first manager. It was a Scottish guy from Vodafone with more than 20 years of experience. And he taught me more about leadership, coaching, navigating corporate life, more than anybody ever could, or any extended experience ever could. Like in those 3 years, I had like a crash course how to navigate corporate politics. And thanks to him, I became the youngest manager at HQ. I was age 23, and I was managing a very big transformational project. So those core skills I took everywhere, like everywhere I go, whether it's enablement, product marketing, product management, I also did a little bit in the past. Those skills are always with me.
Hmm.
Second was procurement experience, understanding how decisions are made, how people buy, how internal politics work, and the dynamic between people when they want to buy something. That came full circle also again when I moved to product marketing, and when I then also again started to work in enablement. In 3.5 years after I finished working at that company, I wanted to go back to marketing because that's where my passion always lied.
Hmm.
But then, yeah, try to tell a recruiter that you want to go to like a manager position without any marketing experience. You're not gonna even cross those keywords, right, that we talked earlier about. So I had to reposition myself, and the closest that I could reposition myself to was product management. So I joined like a startup. And I was very lucky because that product I had to take care of was very technical, and I'm not a technical person. So those engineers who work with me, they were very passionate people and also patient. But again, I was very lucky that I had somebody in the team who said, look, if you want, you can take marketing gap. I will take care of the product, because he was very passionate about the product and he knew a lot about things. So without realizing, actually, I crafted my first product marketing role myself. And I wore every hat possible. When you're in startup, that's the reality, right? I was a digital marketer, copywriter, events manager, channel manager, partner manager. But also back in the day, that's the first sort of mimics of product marketing that we know today. And then, so when I joined TomTom, I already kind of had experience in a few things, such as change management, doing like operational marketing, but then also, the product marketing that we know today. And the first projects that I took in TomTom, they were related more to like, okay, how do we launch a product? How do we ensure that the churn rate is lower? But then very quickly, I was also put on projects where I was a lot involved in sales, not selling myself, but working a lot with sales, supporting sales. And then when we decided to establish a centralized enablement team, so just separated from product marketing, because it was the first responsibility of product marketing, I was kind of the first candidate in mind to say, okay, do you want to take that role? I said, absolutely. Am I in enablement game for long? I don't know. Do I miss product marketing? But right now, enablement is a lot of fun. And it also helps me grow both as a leader, but also with the projects I'm working with, it helps me shape that intellectual property that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, going back to the mentor side that you said about the Vodafone manager that you had, what do you believe is the one lesson that you learned there that helped you out in the future roles?
That people shape careers more than roles do, actually. So that he was a big influencer in the beginning of my career, and he just taught me how to lead. So he always showed what it means to be a good leader. He also showed how to coach, because I had nothing to do with his expertise. I was complete green. I had no experience, but he didn't care about it. He just saw potential in me before I did. And he just used my best abilities and coach me in order to get where he wanted me to get, in order to help him, because we were just two of us, him and myself. And in the Vodafone, he had an army of people reporting to him. And just how to believe in others, right? Even though you might not see it in the beginning. But he did see that something is in me that he can utilize for his benefit and to drive the projects forward, but also help me grow. And I think that's what I think the biggest lesson for me is, that people shape careers more than roles do.
Interesting. What about then the transition from product marketing to enablement? So now you have, I assume, a pretty unique angle. So what are you applying from product marketing into sales enablement, or what's the connection, in your opinion, between the two roles?
So first one is that is how to position yourself, because enablement is similar to product marketing in a way that it's still young, it's still in development, and a lot of people will kind of put all their own tags what enablement is and what it isn't. But then advocating that product marketing it inside the organization, that's what took a lot of time. And I see that's where applying those skills really much helps a lot with shaping the role as well. Another thing is, and that's how to say it, most of my successes in product marketing career came not from launching products, but from utilizing what already is alive. So from existing portfolio. And that a lot of times, and I'm actually also a big advocate for against product launches and product, I'm not, or pre-launches activities, because I see the biggest juice and the biggest benefit of product marketers lives in post-launch activities. And that's what I've seen in my success trajectory. And now I'm also applying it in enablement. Is if we are rolling out a certain program, I'm always not looking at a big shebang and preparing for a big shebang. I always look what's coming after it and how we're going to reinforce the new behavior. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing, whether you're launching products or you're launching an enablement program, you're changing people's behavior. And it takes a lot of reinforcement. More than once, more than twice. It's that's what I see is very beneficial.
Yeah, a couple of questions here. The first one is, how do you define enablement? Because I'm honestly not too familiar with the role. So what's your personal view on it? How would you define it?
So how we define it at TomTom specifically, because I think enablement has its own definition at each company, and rightfully so. So at TomTom, we define it as a grocery store. That we are there as a team to provide the shelves to like different departments to sort of, like provide products on those shelves. But we want to ensure that our sellers find whatever they need, whatever they want, the most at their convenience. That the shelves are always full, and they find it in their fingertips. So that's kind of how I define enablement at TomTom, and I think that's for what I've seen recently in the Sales Enablement Summit resonated very well. That's something that I didn't come up with it myself. I stole it from another colleague who is not in enablement, but but you can see the moment we explain it that way, it resonates very well.
That's super interesting. Have you ever thought about a supermarket analogy also for product marketing?
No, not really. Didn't think about it. No.
Yeah, I was just curious to see maybe there is something
No, the reason
that
why
could connect the two.
The reason why I think it works for enablement is because my biggest fear when I took that role was that I didn't want anybody to associate my team with a factory, like content factory production.
Yeah.
And the only way to do it was to explain it like, hey, we are the department store, but we are very much dependent on those who provide us the products to the shelves. And that was the best way to kind of like, I still sometimes feel we're a factory, but still it kind of prevented people thinking, oh, they're going to produce slides for us, or they're going to just mass produce trainings or something like that.
Yeah, that's smart. Going back to the previous thing you said about opportunities lying in existing portfolios, can you tell me more about this? Because I do believe that it's a key point, and I would like you to dive a little bit deeper into this part.
So going back a bit into like how I started doing product marketing, and I think a lot of product marketers fall into that trap, is that we always start with one big mistake, and that's about, hey, let's invest in product launches. And I think in a lot of surveys that the PMA is doing, the Product Marketing Alliance, right, you always see that product launches always come one of the top activities of product marketer. Yeah. So my point of view, product launches suck. And I think I even created a meme on LinkedIn that the world before your product launch is the world before or after product launch. So I still believe that that's true, because you put massive energy into pre-launches and launch activities. I mean, I get it, right? The business tends to prioritize these type of activities because it feels exciting. There's a deadline. There are stakeholders watching. And honestly, it always feel like the most important things in the world. But the truth is that in most digital products, like once they're launched, there's a spike, but there's no shift. Yes, awareness peaks and can hold for a bit, but within days or weeks or even months, users fall back very quickly into their old habits. And that's where many product marketing teams also feel burned, I feel, a lot of times, because they just caught flat-footed. And so coming back to why I think there's a lot of exciting things happening once things are launched is because I used to work on the products when I just joined TomTom. And we had a high churn, low usage, but they already existed for a while. And then you always have this question of, how are we going to turn them off, or are we going to continue to support them? So at first it looked like, oh, it's just a product issue, that we don't have features unless we invest more, right? Or no, it's a pricing issue. Let's reduce the price and put more discounts, right? But if you dive really, really deep as to what the actual issue was, it was a positioning problem. So then you start understand, like, okay, you spend a bit of time with product managers, educating them, and say like, hey, maybe it's time to reposition the products. Maybe we need to reposition also how we package those products, and then how we articulate value for those products. Of course, you train the sales team, and then you all of a sudden see that the shift is happening.
Yeah.
And yes, it wasn't flashy. There was no launch day. There was no fireworks and champagne, right? But you see that you can have a big influence on a product strategy and where your company is going.
Interesting. Anna, the last topic where I would like to get your thoughts around before we wrap up is AI, so that we can get more views for the keywords. But jokes aside, I know you've been lately active in this world. So tell me a little bit more where you are, how you're using it, and how do you believe it's shaping the future of our roles?
So I consider myself a dinosaur in the whole AI adoption. And the reason is because I think there's a lot of things going on. And it's so hard to keep up with all these new things that you feel very overwhelmed. And it can also demotivate you to start playing with it, because you're like, oh, I will start playing with it, spend my time, but then the new thing will come up and you don't know, like, was it worth it or not? So I changed that mindset of mine into something else, because I also don't really believe that into those quotes like, hey, unless you will be replaced by those that don't use AI, because that's immediately putting you in this downfall position that unless you do something, you're already a failure. No, I think we're in the beginning of very interesting time. And I think it's AI very much, or the whole movement that we're experiencing now, it's ask you to think critically, is to ask yourself, like, what's my unique value when everything can be copied in minutes, not even months? What skills matter when machine can mimic my expertise? Am I just learning to use AI, or am I learning to lead, and like lead in a world where it's shaped by AI? So this is a lot of questions I ponder a lot in my free time, which I don't have a lot, but it kind of, like, I question myself, okay, what do I do next? And I think we definitely, like, my advice to everyone, experiment, even if it's not the latest tooling, but just with ChatGPT, it's already good enough, because like the better you're at prompting, the better you're at exploring some of the features that they always release, right? It's already better than, I would say, majority, because some people are scared. And I see a lot of companies now, because the pace is so crazy, I see a lot of companies say like, oh, we have other problems to fix, let's do AI later. Or they're so scared of it because it's something very unknown to them that they want to do something with the AI, but then they start with tooling. And that's also not the right thing to do. You need to start with, okay, what business problem am I solving? Or I want to solve. And it can be also a personal challenge, right? For example, I now ask ChatGPT for some health recommendations for myself, right? So I'm training that muscle to see how else can I use it. Maybe I want to build my own training for workouts using GPT, right? In order to fit my schedule, etc. Experimenting, being curious, that's all comes without saying. Just ignore that noise of those people who constantly shout like, oh, there's this new release, people are firing, they're replacing people with AI. Just focus on what's important for you right now and where you would like to experiment with how I see it. And don't ignore those people where they say jobs are dying. I've seen so many times marketing is dying, or that marketing is dead, SEO is dead, product marketing is dead. No,
everyone is dead.
Yeah, everyone is dead. No, it's very, don't get scared by this stupid expressions. Get excited. Like, do you feel disrupted? Good, because then you can do something about it.
Nice. What about enablement? How do you believe AI is impacting or will impact in the future enablement?
Oh, I think we'll be managing agents going forward. I've seen a very nice presentation, because that's why I said I feel like a dinosaur, but I learn from others very quickly. Like I watch a lot of people who are progressing in this field. And one of them is David Arnoa. He's ex-CEO of Growth Tribe. So he recently posted a very interesting presentation just out there on LinkedIn. It's like 73 pages long, but you can scroll through it very quickly. And what I really liked about it was that he presented like how the new org charts of the future will look like, where we will all kind of manage agents and agents of the agents. And I don't think that's far off, to be honest, because also if I look at what we are doing now with our enablement, or where we want to go, right now we're building an enablement bot, but I think in the future that bot will be managed by an agent, and then we will need to manage that agent, right? Same goes for learning and training. Same goes for all the other programs we want to do. I think there will be less, which is exciting, less of that manual work that I really want to get rid of. And will be more exciting about, okay, how do you manage technology for your benefit? So I think in the future, it's all going to be agent management of agents, your other assistants.
Yeah, let's see when this happens, because it might be pretty soon. I'm following a lot of content on this topic, and I've seen also some demos about no-code agents that could be just trained with simple workflow automations, and
Yeah.
with human in the loop, they can do impressive things. They're not perfect yet, and they have a lot of pitfalls, but the speed at which everything is evolving, I also agree that it's just a matter of time, probably months before this starts becoming real.
And I think we still need human. Eh? I don't think we can completely outsource everything. I don't know if you've seen, because there's a lot of this buzz about people, firing people, replacing them with AI, or not hiring somebody before you prove that AI cannot
Yeah.
do it. But you also have seen already in the news that some of those companies, they already fall back because they realize that they cannot yet do certain things without human intervention, unfortunately. Right, so you still need human in the loop. And I think that will stay for a while, because if also you look at autonomous driving, for example, like 10 years ago, people said like, "Oh, we will be all driving autonomous vehicles." We're still not there, right? We've made a big leap in very short period of time. I mean, Tesla is a very good example, but but it still takes a lot of time, a lot of incremental challenges that you need to fix before you really say, okay, now we can drive autonomously. And it will take a very long time. And I think that's the same here. We've now done a big leap, it might be even still continuing, but at a certain point it will stagnate, and you need to do a lot of tweaks where human will be still a very important part of it.
Yeah, I agree. Anna, we're getting to the end of this conversation. Before wrapping up, where can people reach out to you?
Yeah, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my place. I mean, I also have a website, but I think LinkedIn is the best place to find me. Also, my newsletter. I'm planning to rename it. I don't know yet how I will rename it. For now, it's called Product Marketing Pulse. But yeah, I always like to connect, and so thanks for having me. And that was very fun conversation.
Perfect. My pleasure. Anna, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you.